This is Jonathan with Fruitful Forest Farms. We're studying permaculture here. We're learning about sustainable building and sustainable building design. We're inventing new things, and we're just trying to get back to our roots. Hey, look what we grew. One of these, it's calabash. This is one of many pumpkins on this vine. You'd have to kind of like dive down under the leaves to really see all that's really here. But this is an amazing food source. They taste a little bit like butternut squash, and they're really easy to grow. Moringa is an excellent addition to most permaculture gardens. This is a nitrogen fixing tree. It's also touted as a superfood. It's just chock full of nutrients. The leaves can be sauteed. They could be just eaten raw in a salad. There's a lot you can do with this plant. Another great thing is this plant here, I planted earlier this year from seed, and now it's up 6 foot something. I think that's pretty impressive. It's a fast growing, drought resistant plant, and it's sure to help every other plant in your garden. So we're doing a lot of chop and drop mulch here. Over here on the other side, we've got a lot of birdhouse gourds. You can see one down here. And we also have a lot of morning glories, and we have some pink flower, which I'm not exactly sure what it is. We've got the Cuban oregano. This plant here, it's easy to clone. Just pull it out. A lot of times you still even get some roots. Pop off branches, stick them in the ground, and you get more Cuban oregano. It's great. It's the side of garlic. Now this plant here is unique in a lot of ways, but one of the things that I really like about it is it helps deter pests. And this plant is going to be one of the plants that helps keep some of my other plants safe from invasion. This here is okra. This here is a offshoot of the Clemson spineless, and my cousin got it from a guy, I believe his name is Ron Cook, and this guy bred okra. So he got an okra plant that its trunk gets as big as a pop can, and each one of these gives up to 250 pods of okra. It's great fresh. Here's the pepper patch. This here is a hot banana pepper, and I had a bunch of these plants given to me earlier on in the season, and all year long I have been getting these amazing hot banana peppers, and we put them in all kinds of cooking. My wife is an incredible cook. Bamboo. Now we get a little wind through here in the winter, and it puts the house in a little bit of danger. But if we can plant things like bamboo over this whole hill, then we can protect the house, you know. This here is a hugel mound. We'll get into that later. But we're planting a lot of things around this house that are very important to keeping it safe from storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, that sort of thing, and they're a big part of the design. Alright, so this is our building right here. We're using alternative building methods. We're reusing as many materials as we can. We're salvaging from demolition sites. We're doing what we can to repurpose materials and turn them into a brand new home, which should be a lot more sustainable than our regular homes that you see built, you know, the fabricated homes that you see built around here. We're using old beer bottles and old wine bottles. Granted, we're going to have to come back through and scrape these off with the razor blade. This is to give additional light, and this was to kind of act like a little bit of stained glass window / skylight kind of idea. You see, we use old beer cans and stuff like that. I've actually built this a little wider so that it can accommodate the beer cans. So once we get up to about this level, from here up is just going to be old beer cans, old pop cans, stuff like that. This is the shower. I wanted a shower that was nice and big. I'm a big guy. I think tiny houses are wonderful for tiny people, but you know, for those of us who are big, there's tons of resources around. They're free. I got all these bricks for free, all the bottles for free. It's great. Alright, this is going to be the bedroom. How we build it will depend on what resources we find to be readily available. This here structure is our bathroom, and or the toilet house, whatever you want to call it. But we're using a wattle and daub cob kind of method. We took some chicken wire, put it down on the inside and the out. We packed it full of straw, clay, sand, and water. We mixed it all together, made a little slurry. We packed it in there. We get a lot of materials for free, but sometimes we pay for materials. These boards came from a local lumber yard. I said that funny. These boards came from a local lumber yard, and what we do is we take the propane torch, we put a little flamethrower on it, and we burn this lumber. Brings the oils in the woods up to the surface, kind of singes them a little bit, makes it more bug resistant and other things. But the thing is, we're also making a thin layer of charcoal. So if we don't sand these off entirely, you know, you're going to have mushrooms and other things growing out of your boards. It's not exactly what you want for long-term use. But this method here should make these boards last a lot longer, make them a lot more resilient against pests like termites. So after these boards have been treated, we go ahead and put them up, and we're making a kitchen here. This kitchen should last for a long time. Alright, this is a kitchen / shed. This building here was actually also built with repurposed materials. The entire building cost me maybe $200 to build. Most of that was the roof. The roof is new metal panels, and everything else is repurposed from old demolition sites. These here are chickens. They're pretty much just here for egg laying in large part. We have a guinea also that joined the flock after his family was killed by raccoons. And this whole coop was built out of repurposed materials. We got a lot of the chain link fence out of somebody's trash in Florida. We've got the main coop over here. This was an old house. This is the roofing panels of the old house. A lot of this was boards to the old house. This door was actually made in Florida. Welcome to Meat Creek Pond. This pond here was originally a creek, which you can see the creek on the other side. The flow is about the same as it was when we started, and yet we've collected and slowed down a lot of water here. Now, the reason for this dam is many purposes. One of the big purposes for this dam is to filter water. I remember doing some research on Paul Stamets' works. I saw that he was incorporating mycelium in waterways via some bags, and he was having great success in reducing E. coli counts and other things. If there's anything in this stream that's bad, we want to filter it as much as possible. I've got a lot of wood in this dam. The water seeps through it slowly, and that helps to cleanse the water as it passes through. So we're actually working to filter this water, which is already relatively really clean. But we're also slowing it down. One of the main principles in permaculture is you want to slow down things. You want to slow down the wind, you want to slow down the water, and you want it to stay on your property as long as possible. So this is one of the things we're doing here. This also should give us a nice beautiful spot for a tilapia pond or some other fish that we want to raise in a farm setting. Welcome to Wonder Creek. This right here is where we get our drinking water. It's also where we get our bath water. This here is our natural springs on the property. We've got 4 different heads which we uncovered recently. These are hugel mounds that I'm making. I'm taking old rotted wood especially, that's exceptionally good. I'm also taking clay, a little bit of clay, high nutrient stuff that was down by the creek, and I'm putting it on top. Any kind of twigs, any kind of biomass, be it green, be it brown. Ideally you have a good mix. Some people say like 40-60, 60-40, whatever. Doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, it does influence what you can plant and how soon you can plant it, but the idea is that you want to take mushrooms and you want to put them in your hugel mound. You want to take as many different kinds of plants as you can, put them in your hugel mound. You want to pile your hugel mounds up high. When you go vertical, you increase your growth space. and these will hold nutrients and hold water. It'll also form a great mycelial network, which will link with your plant roots. I know I might be talking a little Greek to some of you guys, but basically plants and mushrooms have a symbiotic relationship, and what we want to do is help that relationship happen. So we create the meeting ground where those two things can meet, and that's one of the things that the hugel mound's about. If you take this old rotted wood, you can see there's actually chunks of it that have white in it. That's mycelium already growing. Now, mycelium's already here. That's perfect. When I plant my plants, they're gonna just sync up, you know. A lot of it's just making the two available together. So this is one of the ways that I plant without having to water hardly ever. Sometimes you'll find a stick that's in line with the hill. Now this is in line with the slope of the hill, which means the water is just gonna run right by it. It's going to take all the nice topsoil, nutrients and stuff like that, run it on down the hill. The simple act of taking a stick and turning it so that it's no longer in line with the slope. That's going to catch water, it's going to slow water down, and it's going to send more water into the soil. It's going to keep more of the good soil further up the hill. All in all, simple act of turning a stick is something that you can do at any time, any visit to the woods, that's going to help the world become a better place. If you ask yourself what's better than turning a stick against the slope on a hill, it's turning a lot of sticks against the slope on the hill. This here is a hugel mound that we created on the hill. There's a lot of old pine. Now a lot of my hugel mounds, I let them age just like this for a good maybe 3 to 6 months.